Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to our Sueur City Council meeting dated February 9, 2026. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council members, you all received your package over the weekend. I had time to look it over, reach out with any questions. This time I'm going to take a motion to approve tonight's agenda. So moved. Councilmember Huntington. Councilmember Nelson, thank you. Seconded. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to presentations, annual planning commission review with Mr. Program. Mr. Roby, you want to introduce him?
Without further ado, I introduce the Planning Commission Chair, Newell Krogman. City Code states that every year the Planning Commission shall deliver a report of the prior year's work, City Council, and here he is.
Thank you, Joe. I'm actually going to quote from something which is later in your packet. At the end of the meeting today, you're going to look at the policy and procedures for the Planning Commission. I'm going to use that as a kind of outline, the first paragraph. The Planning Commission is an advisory commission, advisory to you as the City Council. We're responsible for recommending changes to, for example, the city's comprehensive plan. But also we get involved with reviewing things such as variances, rezonings, appeals, all kinds of permits and so forth. So we wind up being the advisory group that does the homework for you to flesh these things out, get them in proper order, give you recommendations, but it's ultimately your decision. Regarding the comprehensive plan, I should note that not only is the commission responsible for its general administration and it's looking at what's in it and then giving you recommendations, but a part of that is also what's called the Future of the City Forum. We used to have that. It still says actually it should be held in October. We're going to make a recommendation to you in the future to simply make that the last quarter of the year or something like that, because when you start trying to bind it into one particular month, you wind up with all kinds of other events in the community. But the Future of the City Forum also involves a survey. For example, one of the things that we did this last year with that was to develop the survey, analyze it, and then use it to plan the future of the city forum. But after we had that forum, we also looked back at it and thought, what would we want to do for this year, for 2026? So the Future of the City Forum becomes a whole thing for the community, but it's driven a little bit, at least, by the survey that is conducted by community members. Reviewing this year very quickly, that is 2026 or 2025, excuse me, last year. We held 3 particular hearings. Our hearings are held so you don't really have to do that. It's done, again, to get community input and to fashion the recommendation that we would make to you. The hearings we held were on the Park Elementary School, the EDA land, which is up, we call it up on the hill, or up by the car dealership up there. When that was sold to Cambria, we had a rezoning issue, and we held the hearing as the Planning Commission for you. Also, Oak Terrace was doing a small addition, and we held the hearing for that. Then we had training and preparation. One of the things we're trying to do as a Planning Commission is make sure that commission members, both those who've been there a while and new ones, know exactly what our requirements are for what we're required to do, what the law and what the regulations require us to do. So basically what I want to tell you is that the report is in the packet for you. It kind of details month by month what we did. But I also want to compliment the members of the Planning Commission. I'm just going to use their first names. Colleen, Terry, Chris, Autumn, and myself are all members, and Scott on your council is our non-voting member. The other members are all voting members. I would say that they've done an exceptional job that year, that is last year, 2025, in carrying out their responsibilities. They're not only concerned about the city itself, but making sure that what we do follows the rules, the regulations that bind both us and you. So I want to thank you for your attention tonight. It's a very short report. Take a look, please, at what's in the packet. We do need a member for this year, so if you know of someone, we need one more member. So if you find someone, Chris Roeder was the gentleman who was on last year, and he did not re-up, as they say. So we need another one member. So if you know of someone, please have them submit the proper application to the city so that you can appoint someone to be on the planning commission. Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I'll stand for any questions, but I'll bet you've got other things to do. So,
Mr. Crowman, I thank you for your work with the planning commission. It's a very valuable tool to this community and to our council. So thank you, and thank everybody who participates in that commission with you.
I'll do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Carry on with the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to public hearings. Mr. Roby, you want to take us into this, please?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight on the agenda, we have one public hearing for an easement vacation. Quick summary here. The city council is being asked tonight on the regular agenda to consider the vacation of a blanket electric easement in the vicinity of Churl Street and Elmwood Avenue. The easement itself is an electrical easement that was established in 1967, granted to the city by the property owner at the time. The easement currently covers several acres of property south of Churl Street and west of Elmwood Avenue. You see a rough map on the screen there. It's effectively everything between 6th Street on the west and Elmwood Avenue on the east, and south of Churl Street to the cemetery. Such a blanket easement, which is not specific to installed city infrastructure. Most of the easements that city council deals with now or considers are very specific to infrastructure that's been installed. So when we go through and install a new water main, for example, we will ask the city council and ask the property owner for an easement that covers that specific water main that happens to cover their property. A blanket easement covers all of this. So it gives the city the right of entrance onto any square inch of that property, even though we don't have installed infrastructure across the entirety of the property. As such, a blanket easement like this can impinge on development. So specifically for the minor subdivision that Miller Homes is seeking and that city council will consider on the agenda later tonight, the recording of that subdivision with the county would be problematic if there is a blanket easement that covers the entirety of the property. So prior to consideration of the easement vacation, a public hearing must be conducted. So Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
is there any questions? I would ask for a motion to.
If there's no questions, I would ask for a motion to open this public hearing. Oh, thank you, Councilmember Schrader. Second. Second, Councilmember Sullivan. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. And I don't think we have anybody here for this public hearing that wants to speak regarding the easement. No. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Huntington. Second. Councilmember Sullivan. Seconded. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda considered routine have been made available to the city council at least 2 days before the meeting. These items will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the council member or citizen so requests, which event the item will be removed from the agenda and considered in normal sequence. Mr. Roby, you want to review these for us?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 2 items on tonight's consent agenda. The first is approval of city council minutes from the January 26th, 2026 regular meeting. And finally, approval of disbursement for today. Included in the disbursements list are 8 items over $25,000. The first, MMPA, Air Bond Energy, January 2026 purchase of power totaling $566,785.24. Next to Old National Bank, this is debt service on the South 36 reconstruction project, $188,506.25. Next to the League of Minnesota Cities, our work comp premium for 2026 totaling $74,583. Next to L. Swenson Construction, the roof replacement on Building D at the wastewater treatment facility included in our 2025 capital improvement plan just recently completed $63,450. Next to Boss Lighting, lighting replacement at Building C at wastewater treatment facility, also included in the 2025 capital improvement plan, $48,885. Next to Minnesota Department of Revenue, city sales tax for January 2026, $44,061. The Sueur Company, 15 kV wire as part of the 2025 electric distribution project on North 4th Street, $43,205.40. And finally, to Wesco Receivables Corp. For a 500 kVA transformer included in the 2026 electric department capital improvement plan, $30,483.40.
Thank you very much, Mr. Webb. Before you get like an auctioneer with those numbers. Anybody have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. Thank you, Councilmember Williams. Second, Councilmember Schleter. Any other discussion, comments, any concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to public comment. Do we have somebody for public comment? Very good. Thank you. Brad, please, Mr. Bean, you've been here before, I've seen you before, so
278 Elmwood Avenue.
thank you, Brad.
This is probably more towards Mr. Roby. Wondering if we could get like a QR code with the flyer information for the bigger meetings so that we can scan with our phone and we can follow along that way. Sometimes the flyers go fast at the bigger meetings.
Oh, with like an agenda.
Yes, if we could
Got it.
get a QR code with the agenda for following along.
Yes.
Okay.
We can probably figure it out.
I'll
I'll talk to Stacy. Thank you.
I knew exactly what you were talking about, but I had no idea how to get that.
Yes. We'll work on a solution to that. I know what the concern is and understood.
Interesting concept, thank you.
Would it just be for the agenda? Or the whole, follow-up?
I think it's for the packet, the whole packet.
Sometimes the financials are hard to see on the TV, stuff like that, the little numbers.
Thank you. Which takes us on to city administrator update. Mr. Roby, you have anything to share with us tonight?
Couple things. LELS, that's our law enforcement labor services. Our police officers and police sergeants are covered by that union. We have union negotiations tomorrow, and I'm hopeful we can wrap those up soon. Quick update from the EDA. The EDA had a special meeting last week, and I'm sorry, Councilmember Schleter, if I'm stealing your thunder, but I'm going to. The EDA is preparing to close on both the Park Elementary School property and the Kingsway vacant land, approximately 8 acres adjacent to Kingsway. So that will be coming forward soon and closing on those properties. Planning Commission will be meeting this Thursday. I'll be participating in an LSA Career Day this Friday to convince absolutely nobody to be a city administrator. But maybe some people who want to be line people or wastewater operators. I think that's much more exciting than what I do. City offices will be closed next Monday, the 16th. I want to thank everyone on council for a really good work session tonight. That was valuable. I know we ran out of time, but that was really, I hope everyone else found it as valuable as I did. It was a good discussion. Our next meeting will be Monday, February 23rd. And in case you thought I was going to skip it, please don't forget to sign up for Smart Hub if you haven't already. That's all I have.
Wonderful. Anybody have any questions regarding his update? If not, this will take us into regular agenda, which will begin with the ordinance 619, which we just talked about earlier. Mr. Roby, you want to introduce us to this?
I would thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as a refresher to City Council, we waived the first reading of ordinance 619 at the last meeting. This planned unit development submitted by Miller Homes is to allow for the development of 3 single-family homes with flexibility from lot width standards for one lot. That's the middle lot. This is located at the southwest corner of Turl Street and Elmwood Avenue. As Mr. Krogman referenced earlier, actually, I guess he didn't because it was 2026, but the Planning Commission conducted the public hearing associated with this planned unit development at their January meeting and found that the PUD appears to meet the review criteria found in the zoning ordinance. As such, the Planning Commission has recommended to the City Council that they approve of the PUD.
Thank you. With that said, I'll entertain, unless anybody has any questions regarding this, we just covered it a little bit ago, to entertain a motion to conduct and waive this second and final reading of ordinance 619 as presented.
I do.
You want to read it?
Yes. I don't read the ordinance, but
You want to make a motion that we,
no, I want to ask.
what's got a question? Okay.
All right, so my question was in their January 6th, 26th meeting, when we waived the first rights, they stated that the value for the 3 lots, is the way I'm reading it, is $70,000.
Correct.
So how did they come up with that amount?
Now, there's an appraised value or assessed value of the property,
Okay, and so that
$70,000.
for 3 lots at 70, is that standard for this year? Does the city lot sell for $25,000?
No, they sell for about 40.
So for 40 for a city
40.
lot. Okay,
Once they're ready for development, yeah.
okay. That was my question.
It's tied in much of what the market bears, so.
Where the location is and whether there are services at the property already, or if you need to do a lot of grading to the property before you build on it.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we waive the second and final reading of ordinance 619 as presented.
Councilmember Schleter.
I was like,
That motion would be Councilmember Huntington. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. This takes us on to item 9B, resolution R 2026-01, summary publication ordinance 619.
We will have 2 similar resolutions in front of the City Council tonight. As you'll note in your packet, and just for clarity for the public, we do separate these into 2 separate agenda items. This is a summary publication. Should the City Council conduct or waive the second and final reading, which the City Council has just waived the second and final reading of the ordinance. The next step is publication of the ordinance in the official newspaper. We've prepared a summary of the ordinance, which is included in resolution R 2026-011 that we would recommend publishing.
Thank you, Mr. Roby. Nobody has any questions? If you do, this is the time to ask. Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion to adopt resolution R 2026-011 as presented. So moved. Thank you, Councilmember Huntington.
Second.
Councilmember Sullivan seconded. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to item 9C, that would be resolution R 2026-008, vacation of public utility. Easement, Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As mentioned earlier in the public hearing, the city's beneficiary of a blanket easement that was established in 1967 to allow for the development of PUD that was just approved. The city is recommending vacation of the easement.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions regarding this matter? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution R 2026-008 as presented.
So moved.
I think Councilmember Williams first, Councilmember Sullivan seconded the motion. Any other discussion, comments? Oh, we do have a question.
Just curious, how many other blanket easements might we have in the city that we need to be concerned about?
That's a good question, Councilmember Schleter. I don't have right now a specific number, but there are several that exist. There's one that I can think of specifically right now that overlays much of the First Lutheran Church property on South Elmwood that was also established in the early 70s. Also an electric easement. And there's another example that I was going to draw on, but I can't think of it right now, but there are several. So as we encounter them, particularly around development, likely they would be vacated.
Thank you.
Anything else? Again, looking for a motion to adopt resolution R 2020. Oh, did we have we had I can't remember. Williams and seconded by Councilmember Sullivan. I'm sorry. Any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to resolution R 2026-010, the big minor subdivision, no homes. Mr. Rubin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This accompanies items 9A and 9B. Associated with the Miller Homes development, the minor subdivision would allow for the development of 3 single-family homes. The minor subdivision itself, which is being done in place of a plat, appears to meet the review criteria found in the zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission has recommended City Council approval along with the PUD ordinance that was adopted earlier tonight.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution R 2026. Thank you, Councilmember Huntington. Councilmember Schrader seconded. Any other discussion? Comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to item 9E, that would be ordinance 616, amending city charter, second and final reading. Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Sueur Charter contains references and guides to election-related petitions. Minnesota law requires that petitions for elections contain a field for signatories to provide the year of birth to prove that they are of legal voting age. To change the city's charter, an ordinance must be adopted. Now, the Charter Commission met in September of 2025 and directed staff to draft an ordinance for City Council review and consideration that would bring the city charter in line with state rules around this year of birth being included on the petitions. Ordinance 616 was drafted by staff and city attorney. Just as a refresher, the City Council did waive the first reading of the ordinance November 10th of last year and conducted a public hearing on December 8th. But there was an outstanding question to the city attorney at the time, and that specific question was around the number of signatories that were required on a nominating petition. State statute differs from the city charter here. The city charter currently says that you need 25 signatures, which you all got to get on the ballot. You pay your little fee, get 25 signatures from voters in the jurisdiction, and you can get on the ballot. The threshold for signatures is much higher per state statute. And so the attorney had initially suggested that we would need a higher bar for number of signatures. So we questioned that. The attorney came back with legal review and said, no, the city charter, there's another statute that allows the city charter to set its own standards for number of signatories. And so we can maintain those at the current 25. And so that is what is reflected in the ordinance here.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
How high is it supposed to be?
I knew you were going to ask me that, Councilor. No, it's okay.
I was gonna say 1,000.
10% of the registered vote, or the registered
Of
voters
the
or
voters who voted in the
voter
last-
turnout.
voter turnout in the last election, or 500, whichever is less.
Wow.
And so the minimum here, I think we did the quick math, and the minimum here was about 250.
Good thing we're taking 25.
So because we believe in keeping the bar of democracy
Low.
that's not what I was exactly, but we can go with it, put it in the minutes. We want to keep the bar of entry into democracy low. We asked the city attorney if it would be all right if we kept it at 25, and there is, we are allowed to legally do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a good question. With that said, I'm entertaining a motion to conduct or waive the second final reading of ordinance 616. Councilmember Nelson. Made the motion.
I'll second.
Councilmember Huntington seconded the motion. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in.
Wait, are we conducting or reading?
We're waiving it, right?
That's
You're
the way I
waiving?
interpreted it. Waiving reading.
Well, you did a good job interpreting, yeah. Yes.
wait.
That was your intention?
Yes, it was.
Because if we don't waive it, you get to read it. So we had a motion for the second and final reading ordinance 616 by Councilmember Nelson. It was seconded by Councilmember Huntington. Thank you. Any other discussion, comments? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. It's on to item 9F, the resolution R 2026-004, the summary of ordinance 616.
This is yet another summary publication of the ordinance that was just adopted, and as always, with all due respect to our friends at Henderson Independent, who are represented here tonight, we staff would recommend publishing a summary of ordinance 616, because ordinance 616 is rather lengthy.
So moved. Oh, boy, we had a motion. Second. Motion made by Councilmember Sullivan, second by Councilmember Huntington. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to item 9G, that's resolution R 2026-012, airport and land acquisition purchase agreement. Mr. Roman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And in the audience tonight, we do have Melissa Underwood. Melissa is our airport engineer with Short Elliott Hendrickson, or SEH. And she works very closely with staff and the airport commission on all things associated with projects at the airport, and is our go-to and our source of truth when it comes to working through all of our FAA grants. Because as City Council has seen, even over the last several months, there's a lot involved with the FAA. Our grants are generally reimbursement based, which means we put forward the investment with a FAA grant in hand, and the FAA reimburses us. So this is one of the projects that the city and the airport commission, City Council and Airport Commission, have been pursuing for quite some time now. It was with an adjacent property owner interested in conveying property to the airport. As with most airport projects, we need to kind of wait until the timing is right with the FAA, if that's fair to say, Melissa. And the time is now right to pursue acquisition of approximately 19.31 acres of land, a little bit on the north and a little bit on the south. And primarily for two reasons. One is the protection of what's called the building restriction line, or the BRL, and also for a planned runway taxiway extension project in the future, which would extend the existing taxiway all the way to the far end of the runway, which is not right now. So right now, if you land on one end of the airport, you have to taxi on the runway. You have to taxi all the way on the runway to get to your hangar. If you're going to take off, you got to taxi all the way on the runway before you can take off. So as our airport has gotten busier, particularly with the introduction of MSU and the other Mankato Aviation School, we have a lot more airplanes coming in and out. So a full-length taxiway would allow for safer ingress and egress from the runway. In order to do that, and also guard the building restriction line, the acquisition of the property on the north has been a priority for the Airport Commission and the City Council. The parcel on the south end, the property owner doesn't have a need for and is donating that as part of this transaction. So officially in the purchase agreement, the city is buying about a little over 13 acres of property, and the property owner is in turn donating an extra 5.7 acres to the city.
What did the city own?
The city owns. Sorry.
The city own the buildings and the hangars?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is just from this blue line here on the far east.
Mhm.
We own to the southeast here.
Okay.
And then we own everything within this runway
Okay.
here and extending straight out in the approach zone. And Mr. Churchill owns everything to the north here in the blue box and this section here. And this is of no use to him effectively.
Yeah, I can see that.
And So he was interested in selling. We first budgeted for the local share, the estimated local share of the project in the 2023 airport capital plan. So those funds are already in hand. They're sufficient to cover the local share of this acquisition with the FAA and then covering 97.5% of the project. And again, this grant is reimbursable. And I've probably taken all of everything, but Melissa, is there anything else you'd like to add that you think is important?
No, those are just questions.
For the lay people that are not pilots, the runway taxi extension project, that sounds to me like it's like a front-end road. Kind of?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to the action requested, which would be to adopt resolution R 2026-012 as presented. So moved. Thank you, Councilmember Huntington.
Second.
Councilmember Schluter seconded. Any other comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Moving on to item 9H, that'd be resolution R 2026-009, the abatement of joint powers agreement. Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city and Sueur County entered into a joint tax abatement program back in 2006 for 3 parcels within city limits. The abatement began officially in 2007. Those funds have been used over the last nearly 20 years now for 2 projects primarily, which was Cambria Avenue, which created the cul-de-sac on the north end of the Cambria property, which used to, I can't remember if that came out under 169 there. Yes, it came out under 169 directly. So it created a cul-de-sac there, and also for the Highway 169 R-cut projects, which created the J-turns on 169. So both transportation safety projects that these funds were used for. The original tax abatement program calls for the establishment of a joint powers agreement between the city and the county. So the city council and then in turn the county board of commissioners adopted or agreed to enter the joint powers agreement in 2022, which among other things established how the funds would be used in the future. The joint committee met in 2025 to discuss the abatement program itself as it was coming to an end. And the consensus recommendation out of that meeting was to pursue termination of the abatement and modify the joint powers agreement to outline what the funds would be used for once the abatement was effectively closed or done. We've stopped setting aside those tax dollars on those 3 parcels. So the resolution in front of council tonight would formally terminate the abatement program itself, and would also get the city council out of the last joint powers agreement and approve the modified joint powers agreement. The reason we did it that way is because the current joint powers agreement includes a whole bunch of language around how long we're going to collect the tax abatement money. And we don't need that anymore. If we're terminating the abatement, all we need is how are we going to spend these funds going forward? Who's in charge? Who's going to make the decisions? And the terms of that part of the agreement have not changed from the current agreement. I'm just looking at Commissioner King here because he's party to this agreement as well. So the terms are not going to change. The joint powers agreement in its current form and also the modified form calls for a joint committee, which consists of 2 county board commissioners, 2 members of city council, and then the county administrator and city administrator to evaluate potential projects that could utilize these funds going forward. And then the recommendation would come out of that committee to the county board of commissioners to consider and provide feedback, and ultimately come to city council for approval and disbursement of funds for those projects. And the joint powers agreement also speaks to exactly what type of projects can use those funds. And the priority is transportation and infrastructure along a defined area of 169. So we defined that area effectively from Henderson Station Road on the north to Doppy Lane on the south. and projects within there that advance transportation infrastructure that will help grow, develop along 169 would be eligible for these funds.
Thank you. Anybody has any comments?
I have a question.
Right.
Any idea of the kind of money we're talking about that still remains in that fund?
Approximately $1.7 million.
So my question, I guess, is whatever you agreed to in 2022, can't you just say, well, we're going to end this agreement? You take whatever your interest, because I know it had some language in there about they get their portion of whatever they invested, and then the city would get that it gets split somehow, that 1.7 million. Does it have to be used for that area? I mean, can't we change those terms that we'll take the money and pay for the stuff we're already doing, or?
I would need to have a legal opinion on whether,
It was set up, can I say something? I think it was set up kind of like a covenant, an agreement between the county and the city. And when we started this, it was something that we both had purpose with.
Yeah.
And it was pretty well drawn out in the agreement on how it was to be spent. And I think Mr. Roby just reviewed those. I think you need to talk to legal counsel about that. But I think we're gonna find that we've got to spend it in those projects that we just addressed.
well, and I would, the benefits of the city here, with all due respect for the county, but I think the benefit to the city here is that this is guaranteed. These are county tax dollars that would have just gone into the general fund of the county or any number of funds of the county.
Would have been spent.
Right, spent somewhere in the county, but the county agreed to dedicate those funds to investment within the city of Sueur.
In that area.
In that area specifically. And so it's a savings account that the county agreed to set up and earmark all of those county property tax dollars for use in this defined area to benefit certainly the county, but if one were thinking selfishly, to benefit the city of Sueur. And if at any point the city council were to say, this has been great, but we're gonna go our separate ways here and the county can take their money back, that is a savings account that I would argue the city's losing out on.
Okay, so, who paid the taxes into that fund?
The three properties that were part of the original abatement. So there was property taxes for those three particular parcels that instead of going into the general funds of the city and county to pay for government services, were set aside.
For special projects in that area.
And there weren't any, apparently, in those 2 years.
Not
We
yet.
talked about.
The Cambria Avenue.
So some of it is.
The
Yes,
J.
yeah, and then the J turns to 169, the county and the city had I can't speak to the specific terms of the agreement, but MnDOT paid a portion, the county and the city had to pay as part of that, and those funds were used for that share.
Okay, so if you want to abate it now, or you want to end it now, isn't there any future funds that you can see there's a use for that money?
Yes, and that would be the point of, the purpose of the joint committee. So we'd say, the joint committee says, we jointly, as two entities have aggregated these funds. And these are the types of projects we'd like to work at. Now, city council or the city could propose, hey, we'd like to do a transportation infrastructure improvement project in this corridor. Go to the committee and say, we've got a project that could use $200,000. An example of which could be Dobbie Lane. So we could say, you know what, Dobbie Lane is a really critical piece of infrastructure in the city. We need to make XYZ improvements to it. This is why we think it's a benefit to the entire corridor for economic development, and make an argument that we use funds from this fund to make improvements to Dobbie Lane. Or it could be something on Industrial Park Street, or a redundant water line, or a private developer could come to us and say, hey, we want to develop XYZ, but we're going to need a frontage road, or we're going to need some infrastructure to provide more electricity or water to this area. Funds could be used for that.
So what would be the benefit to the city to having a joint committee still on some other one with the county, if those are the kind of projects you're gonna do that are strictly within the city domain. I mean, you want to do these improvements on Dobby Lane, why would you want the county involved in that?
Because part of that money or a large portion of that money is the taxes of those three properties would have been paying to the county. So they're essentially, you want to look at it that way, they're partial owner on that money.
Being
That
good
they
neighbors.
agree to go these
Being
projects.
good neighbors.
No, but I mean, and here it did say that it would be split between whatever the vested interest is. That there was some language about that, that's how it would be divided, and I'm just wondering.
I don't recall that language at all.
There were terms that
I read it.
if the abatement were ever terminated early and both parties agreed to early termination, that there was that way. If there was a circumstance where the county said, look, we're done with this and here's why, and the city council agreed to it, that yes, we could split it. In this modified agreement, it is not, the language is not that way. It is, we're going to keep jointly this pot of money, which the city maintains the actual money. But because the county also invested in this program, the county reserves the seat at the table in deciding and making sure that the funds are used appropriately, so the city council doesn't go rogue and just drop it all on
Gambling. let's just say.
gambling.
Thank you for your questions, your query there. Mr. King, we appreciate you being here. The Sueur County has been a great partner and resource in this project. And looking forward to meeting with you guys as we move forward. So with that said,
I just wanted to make sure I got it right, because I think you answered my question. So there's 3 lots or 3 pieces of property in this, and so the city put what they received in property taxes, and the county put what they received in property taxes into an account to pay for the improvement of this area along 169.
Correct.
Did I understand that correctly?
Correct. So
Okay.
normally when we set our levy, we get our tax dollars in. You know, some of those tax dollars specifically go to, well, if they're old assessments or something, they'll go to pay an assessment, but otherwise they come into the general fund and they're split out through, you know, the general levy process. But these 3 particular parcels, those were set aside and they were not put into the general fund. They were set aside. And then the county could send us a check, kind of send us a separate check and say, here's our money that we collected, county collected on these 3 parcels. Please put this in the fund. And we would deposit it in the fund.
For how long? I'm sorry. How long did that run?
Started in 2007.
it's been there a while. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, looking for a motion to adopt resolution on 2026-009 is presented. Councilmember Schrader, seconded by Councilmember Williams. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. This takes us on to the Planning Commission Policy and Procedure Manual 2026. Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The program referenced this earlier, and I probably, in respect to him, would have put it first on the agenda. So he's going to miss out. But each year, the Planning Commission reviews the Policy and Procedures Manual. The Planning Commission takes its role as an advisory committee to the City Council very seriously, and so they do review these each year. There were no proposed changes for 2026, and yet we are bringing it forward for City Council review, discussion, if any, and adoption.
Thank you. Any questions?
I do have a question. If there's no changes being made, why is it going to become before city council?
It's just an opportunity because the City Council is per se in charge of the Planning Commission. If in any given year the City Council said, you know, we really want you to make a change to this, it's an opportunity for City Council to review it every year.
Good question. Thank you. Anybody else? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Planning Commission Policy and Procedure Manual is presented. Councilmember Schrader, Councilmember Sullivan seconded. Any other discussion? comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to reports and items of appreciation. As always, Mr. Huntington, we will start with you. I've got nothing tonight. Nothing tonight. Councilmember Nelson.
Wow.
Wow. Councilmember Schrader.
I attended the Sueur County officials meeting on Wednesday, the 28th, a special EDA meeting on the 5th addressing school property closings, which Administrator Roby already mentioned. I have a Region 9 meeting tomorrow, a Planning Commission meeting on Thursday, new chamber meeting on the 19th, and if my schedule allows, the county is having a public hearing on the comprehensive plan on Tuesday, the 17th at 10 a.m. Commissioner King, is that time correct?
Yes, it's scheduled and it's noticed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmembers, Smith.
I have nothing.
Nothing tonight. Councilmember Sullivan. Nothing. Councilmember Williams.
Yeah, I have a couple things. I want to congratulate the students that did the one act play. I attended that and that was just an excellent play. Also, good luck to the future of the winter sports players that are participating and starting out playoffs are starting up. So just want to say good luck to them and we're rooting for them.
Thank you. I just want to mention, I will not be at our next city council meeting. Councilmember Sullivan will direct us to that meeting. I understand the agenda hopefully will be a little light. So I do have one quick statement I want to read. This won't take long. I want to address the electronic petition asking for a digital signature from Jackson First, whom I do not know nor have I ever met. This seems to be a source of fascination in the social media community. This petition carries no legal authority and produces no actionable outcome. Signing it would not strengthen enforcement, prevent fraud, nor change any state policy in any measurable way. My opposition to fraud does not require symbolic gesture or participation in an e-paper type notice. I don't believe in political theater. The city of Sueur stands against fraud through compliance with the law, cooperation with the proper authorities, and reasonable governance, not through non-binding letters. I remain focused on the business of the city of Sueur, not statements that merely signal concern without effect. So that said, I just want to kind of answer some of the questions the social media has put out there and why I haven't signed this petition. With that, I will entertain a motion to dismiss tonight's meeting. Anybody opposed? All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Ayes have it.